Peace, love, strength, and power, royal family. Yo, we have to come to some kind of understanding or consensus as a people here in America. Why? Why do we continue to do it? You know, if you think about it, the homeless people that you see who are able-bodied people, they can go work. They can go work and put in a bunch of hours and get a house, and they prefer to live on the lam. They prefer to live in a box in a vacant lot under a bridge because they refuse to conform to a system that's set up to drain you of all your life force and leave you with absolutely nothing. They are the true resistance. They're the resistance. If you think about it, homeless, able-bodied people are the resistance of this system. This demonic, satanic, barbaric, unforgiving system that we seem to find ourselves in but can't escape. We have to come to some kind of consensus. Yo, how do you deal with it? I understand you gotta pay bills, but do you have to pay bills? Do you have to pay the mortgage? Do you have to pay the rent? How does it work? All right, if you individually decide, I'm rebelling against the system, because what they do is they take everything from you. From the time you're able to walk, they start to program you and condition you to give them your life, your time, your energy, everything. They take it and they give you back paper. Paper that you have to then give back to them in the forms of what? Bills, taxes. And then when you think about how they get their paper, they print the paper out of thin air, right? And then they gift it to each other. They gift it to each other. They don't work hard for it. They simply put themselves in a situation where they can collect bonuses. Me, I'm disconnected from the system. I've been disconnected from the system for a while now. I left corporate a while when I realized, you know what? I give a lot to this corporation. 50, 60 hours sometimes because I take pride in my job. And I like to make sure I see my thing through to completion. But then I look at my bosses and my bosses' bosses. They get to leave in the middle of the day, go golfing. They can hop on the G6 or the G280 and they could go take a flight to the other side of the country and stay there for a whole day or two and then fly back in by the weekend. Literally. Don't matter if the program's behind. Don't matter if we're playing catch up. That's me. I gotta do the catch up part. They get to go live their life. So when I came to the realization, yo, I'm giving my time, my energy, everything to a group of people who are living their life, and I'm simply maintaining a lifestyle. I'm not living. You're not living. You get up every morning, you go to a job you probably hate, you make some paper, some green paper, which is coincidentally being devalued around the world because other people are coming to this conclusion already. We don't have to do this. And they're abandoning that money, that system of capital, and they're moving into something else. But we get up and we do it every day. We do it for our kids. We do it for our lifestyle. We do it for our material objects. And the reason that you're stuck doing it is because we have not put our foot down yet. We're being slow walked. Like the ops. like seriously, these are gangsters and they walking us down like we the ops. Right to death, right to a deathbed. They tell you you can get up after you 65, 70 years old. You can get up and now I'll let you live. And we allow it. We allow it. We pay for water. We pay for food that you can literally grow out the ground. Yourselves. And we voluntarily doing it. And then we look at each other and we say, why do you do it? Well, we ain't got no choice. Fuck you mean you ain't got no choice, bro. It's not that you don't have a choice. We are not organized. We are not organized. If you can gather up enough people to have 1 million men march, 1 million women march, a march on Wall Street, then you could gather enough people to say, yo, fuck it. For the next 3 months, we ain't paying bills. We ain't paying bills. Fuck their system. You know what happens when you don't pay your bills? They got to go through a process. I don't know about the electric company and stuff like that, but there's ways around that. You got solar and all that stuff. You can afford it. But when it comes to your mortgage, they got to process you out, bro. And if you're worried about your credit don't mean shit. Credit don't mean shit if the system is falling. What does credit mean? But what happens is they got to process you out, right? Now imagine your whole neighborhood say, yo, for 3 months we ain't paying our mortgage. Nothing, fuck them. Most likely a couple of them got the same mortgage lender, same loaner. But you didn't have to say, okay, well, we're going to give you warnings. Of course you get your warnings. And then they say, okay, well, we're going to have to process this paperwork because now we have to seize your house. Okay, well, I got to go to court. All right, well, imagine thousands and thousands and thousands of people having to go through court for mortgage delinquency. That's going to clog up the system because it requires resources and manpower. You got to have people to process the paperwork, and it has to go through hoops and flips and stuff before it gets to where it's going. Then you have to have people to enforce it. Imagine doing that with a whole city, a whole county. They can't. They don't have the ability to walk us down. They don't have the ability to walk us down. They don't. We give it to them out of cowardice. But you know what's going to happen? I know I keep this long and I try not to, but you know what's going to happen? It's going to reach a point where it's going to be civil unrest. It's going to reach a point where the norms that you are used to are no longer going to be in place because the system is not functioning as it used to, because there is people who are not able to keep up with it anymore. You simply have no ability or no desire. And therefore it starts to fall. Because like I said, you don't have the manpower to walk us all down. You can't walk us all down like the ops. You can't. You have to figure out how to convince us another way. So what happens when the system collapses? You think people going to work then? Why are we waiting until we're forced into that situation? Why not making a decision? Making a decision. I know this is hard to digest, and it's probably possible because you can't fathom in your brain how do I still survive and not comply? I don't know how you don't figure it out, but I know I figured it out. So far, I'm all right. I can't. My life took a turn, and I can do that. But we have to figure it out together. Understand this? We all in the same boat. We all in the same boat. But I just don't appreciate it that we voluntarily walk ourselves to our deathbeds in a system that was created to do exactly that. Walk us down to 75, 80, and then they say, okay, now you release them. Then you got to fight for shit. Fight for basic human services and human dignity. Yo, it's insane. We got to figure it out. We need a blackout. We need a blackout for real. We need a blackout in consciousness. But yeah, the homeless person, I walk past him every day. I say, yo, you the revolution, bro. You are the resistance, bro. You could go to work, but you said, fuck that shit. And I respect it. I respect it. We ain't getting none of it. The winters be cold, though. The winters be cold. I can't front. But yo, y'all stay up. Peace, love, strength, and power of family one.